One year for Veterans Day, I took the grandsons and we went out to Falcon Field to check out some of the old warbirds they had there. There's a Confederate Air Force that's housed out there, and they have some flying museums as well as some airplanes being repaired and just a variety of different old warbirds that you can get up close to and walk around and check out. The highlight of the show, though, was to see the B-17 called Sentimental Journey. And we actually got to go on board and climb around on it and see what it looked like from the inside. After doing that, it inspired me to do a little research to find out just what all was involved in putting one of those planes in the air and going on bombing runs. And I'll tell you what, that was a special breed of man. The B-17, or the Flying Fortress as it was called, was a heavy bomber and required at least 2 pilots. The crew was made up of 10 or 11 people. First you had the pilot, generally about 21 years old and fresh out of college. The co-pilot, who also could fly the plane if the pilot got injured. The flight engineer was a guy that knew everything about the plane and was constantly monitoring all the operations. The flight engineer would also double as a 50 cal gunner out the top. And he would be the guy to get you back in the air again should you have to take an emergency landing somewhere. You also had a navigator who had to track your position at all times and get you to the spot so the bomber could do what he had to do. Then you had a radio operator who sent and received Morse code back to headquarters, radioing their position or making changes to the plans if need be. The radio operator also operated a 50 caliber machine gun if they were under attack. Then next they had the bombardier. This was the guy that looked through the bomb sight once they got on target and literally flew the airplane and pulled the button to drop the bombs when the time came. At that point, they would have to fly straight and level, regardless of what they were being shot at, who was shooting at them, or what was going on, in order to deliver their bombs on target. And that was one of the B-17 strongholds and one of the 8th Air Force Commander's prime objects was for precision bombing. He did not want to drop bombs on civilians. He wanted to hit nothing but military and industrial targets. And that's what they were sent out to do, without any air support. They also had a nose gunner, a belly gunner, or the ball turret, a tail gunner, and 2 waist gunners. So every mission that went out, every plane that went out, had 10 or 11 airmen on board. The very first mission B-17s were sent on to bomb Germany was a complete success. They flew without escort, and using the top secret Norden bomb site, they hit their industrial military targets without any problem. The Brits had already been bombed by the Germans in London and other areas on British soil, and they had lost civilian lives to their bombs. So they had no compunction about bombing civilians in Germany. As a matter of fact, that was the next plan, was to bomb Hamburg, because they wouldn't have to fly over a lot of enemy territory, and it was a big port, second largest city in Germany, and they could inflict serious damage. The Americans wouldn't have anything to do with bombing civilians. Their whole process was about precision bombing, and they wanted to take out industrial targets, power plants, shipyards, and the like. So what they decided to do was the British would bomb at night and the Americans during the day.
And if they don't make sure everything's ready, sure is one big fan.
Wheels up.
Bye.
After destroying Hamburg, the British felt like the next thing to do was to bomb Berlin, hit Germany right in the heart. And they wanted to bomb the center of Berlin and the civilian areas and stuff. And once again, the Americans didn't want anything to do with that. So they agreed to bomb a ball bearing factory around Berlin and take it out because, after all, ball bearings are required in practically everything that's used in military production. So once again, the general sent his planes in there without any escort during the daytime to do their raid. And on the way in, they were attacked by the German Air Force, and the gunners had to open up the sides of the plane so they could turn the guns and shoot. And they were flying at such an altitude that it was 60 degrees below zero. So here you are at 30,000 feet, 60 below zero, and you got planes attacking you and you're trying to shoot them down. All the while, the pilot has to keep straight and narrow and get on the range to bomb where they wanted to go. Well, there were 60 bombers lost in that one mission. 60 of these B-17s with 10 and 11-man crews. So after that, he was replaced. And guess who they got to replace him? General Doolittle, the same general that organized the first raid on Tokyo after they bombed Pearl Harbor. And he put P-51 Mustangs in the air with the B-17s, and they started having success shooting down the German airplanes. And a lot more started returning.
Alright, now I'm sort of coming.
Alright, I'm right down here, right?
Is it hard to get through there?
Yeah, I'm sort of coming.
Alright.
It's a tight fit.
Yeah, it is.
Just take your time, right?
I know, I don't want to fall. I hate this.
Yeah, it's not like a bomb, huh?
Yeah, that's I just can't imagine like a guy climbing through here when the bomb bays are open and falling out. It would.
There goes that airplane.
That's the tail gun. Normally, he can go into the back hatch there and he can crawl here or just up here and just slide on back there to crawl back there a couple times once it's.
I don't think so.
Oh, God. It's a big plane. I never thought the tour would be this big. It's a big plane. Wow. I'm surprised.
The tail guns of the Fortress were the most important defensive weapons of the bomber. These gunners inflicted severe damage on attacking fighters from the rear. The tail gunner was well aware that the first objective of the attacking pilot was to eliminate him and his weapon. The gunners in the rear of the airplane would assemble in the radio room for takeoff, and once the aircraft was airborne, they would take their combat positions. The tail gunner would take his parachute and crawl around the tail wheel. Once seated, he would plug in his heated flying suit, oxygen, and intercom. The gunner then took a kneeling position with his knees rested on padded supports and his legs doubled back. The original gun emplacements were aimed by hand through a ring and bead sight outside, in front of the gunner's window, and linked directly to the movement of the guns. The Cheyenne turret on the B-17Gs provided a wider angle of fire and was equipped with an improved reflector sight. An emergency escape door just below the horizontal stabilizer could be used by the tail gunner if he needed to bail out of his disabled Fortress.
don't go in.
Well, don't mess with anything.
Alright, cool. We're allowed to go and just don't mess. Don't put your feet on the pedal. I'm not. Don't take the wheels. Don't push anything. What is this thing white for? Hey, just leave it, okay? It's cool. Yeah.
Lots of stuff, huh?
Oh yeah. What are you gonna do? Be real scary flying this. It's no teeth. You start everything with here. Just don't touch it, okay? You start with like this and stuff. What is that thing? I don't know. A chair? I guess. How do you still here? Well, this tells you if.
That's your compass?
Yeah, it's your compass. Tells you where.
The 23 cadets that were killed here in training in World War II. So if you can make that, it's a great service. Thank you for your service. Without you and the tenacity of England, our partners, we might be speaking a different language now. We appreciate your sacrifice. Will all the veterans that served in all the wars please stand up and be honored?